Good morning, good day, good evening, wherever you are in the world. So today, this is the deadline stream, right? Let's just make that clear. The deadline stream is now and not later when the actual deadline is. What are you guys talking about? I don't understand. What do you mean jump scare? What are you talking about? What? I don't understand what's wrong. Anyway, so this is the deadline stream because I'm going away tonight. No reason in particular, just, you know, I'm not available. So we'll have to make do with what we got. We have FP1, we have FP2, and we have a lot of things to go over, a lot of things to discuss, a lot of potential teams to play. What do you mean you're on the right channel? You're definitely on the right channel. Right, what's up over on Twitch? Live on Twitch as well if you want to join over there. Nice makeup. I don't know what you're talking about. So, this is the team going into this weekend. And, man, do I want Ferrari? Like, I don't know. There's something on your face. My glasses? Yeah, I mean, the glasses are not the usual ones I wear, I suppose. How early did you have to get up to do this yourself? I mean, this is like a 30-minute, you know. Alright, so. This is the team we have. And I'm not sure what I want to do. So I need you guys' help. Leclerc kind of cooked in FP2. So I'm considering just doing this. Keeping Alonso, keeping Bortoleto, keeping Sainz. I think the main thing is, though, I just want to make one transfer. I just want to make one transfer this week. It could be one cheap asset, but the thing is, like, the midfield right now, at least from watching FP1 and FP2, looks so unbelievably jumbled. That, like, I can't see, like, a clear winner to go for. Like, sure, I don't think buying Oli Behrman is a bad move, for example. But it's not like any midfielder looks, you know, particularly stand out. And a really great comment, actually, was made on my team selection video that I posted the other day. You can go watch that if you want to after this, because we're going to discuss some things from that video, but some things from that video will be exclusive to that video. And that was one thing that I failed to mention in that video is that Bortoleto is definitely driver today candidate in Brazil. So selling him now feels bad. In addition, he's good for budget as well. And then obviously Sainz and Alonso just are the two most informed midfield drivers at the moment. I would probably wager. So for that reason, I don't really feel like I have to sell any of the midfielders. And if Leclerc is cooking, like, you know, I can just get Leclerc in as my one transfer. It actually frees up some funds even. I'm still 0.2 million away from affording Red Bull Racing though. But I think I'm just locked in on McLaren Mercedes for now. I can't go without. I just don't want to make too many transfers, and then I can't make transfers in Brazil. You know what I mean? Low-key, your team doesn't need any transfers, just help us. That's what I mean, exactly. Like, I'm definitely only using one transfer because my team's kind of fine. Like, even this would be fine. So right now, my most likely move is to get Charles Leclerc. But I will say this will be a deadline stream where I'm not going to lock in my team, right? I will say what my planned transfer is, and it's probably this right now. It's at least the transfer I'm leaning towards. But you'll have to follow me in socials or be on my Discord server to see what my final move is. Like, I'm gonna be away tonight, but it's not like I'm not gonna make my F1 fantasy transfer. So just follow me on Twitter, link in the description, or join the Discord. I'll post my team there as well in the F1 fantasy chat there. So if you want to see what I end up doing with my team, you have to do so there because, again, since this is a pre-deadline stream, number one tip of F1 Fantasy is don't make your transfers early because things can change in FP3. We've seen that multiple times. So I will not be making my transfer here. Good day, Fraser. Good day. Thoughts on Red Bull for Sonoda? I'm eyeing up Sonoda, but like I just can't get him in without completely uprooting my team, right? I would be in such deep trouble if I started like looking for ways to get Sonoda in. It would have to be something like this. And at this point, how do I get McLaren back if they look really fast in Brazil, right? We're 2 more transfers, and then I can't change anything else. It leaves me too rigid. I think Red Bull Racing looks really good, as they did last week, and obviously they've brought upgrades to Sonoda's car this week as well. So maybe he can, get some time to Max. If I can only get one top driver, who should I go with? It has to be Max Verstappen. Max Verstappen is 100% essential. I think he's going to win every race from now until the end of the season. If you had 3 transfers, what would you do? If I had 3 transfers, I would maybe look more into considering a McLaren move out. Thank you for the question, Dvala, over on Twitch. I would maybe look for a McLaren out scenario, but I don't think so. I still think McLaren will outperform Ferrari and Mercedes. So even if I had 3 transfers, it's not a guarantee, but I think I would look at it more closely and sort of at least examine the option. The other alternative could be like if I go for like a Leclerc here. If I had 3 transfers and I was still, I want to save a transfer, but that means I can use 2 of them. Would have been to like also get, maybe Bortoleto out for Ole Behrman. Something like this maybe would be the team if I had 3 free transfers. But for now it's 1 transfer for me. Loxolol, hi Rain, do you have any confidence in Piastri turning it around? Oh, I think he will turn it around, but the downturn in form is definitely concerning, and I wouldn't want to own him right now. In terms of like the championship, like I'm not expecting him to be 12th. But if he's just finishes 5th, that's pretty rough. That's pretty rough. He needs a good weekend. He needs at least a podium finish to get back into to winning ways. In which section of your Discord do you post the team? I'll just post it in the F1 Fantasy chat. And like I won't put it in announcements. I'll just put it in the general chat. I genuinely don't know what to do. Originally wanted to keep Piastri do 1 transfer, so I had 3 for Brazil, but now he's looking like Marcel. Yeah, but you could do. Oh, are you planning something else then? I mean, you could just do Piastri down to Leclerc or Russell is an easy move, right? Tjena Isak. How you doing? But before we go deeper into the discussion, let's quickly slam down an F1 predicts. Is it the same to go without McLaren constructor? Just no, I don't think it's the same at all. I actually think it's quite viable, especially at lower budgets, because it could allow you to afford a 4A lineup. I think for the first time this season, McLaren is not a must-own. It's still really, really good, right? It's still a A or S tier constructor, maybe even S tier, but it's not that 35 million of your budget is just automatically spent on McLaren type situation that we had earlier, or that we've essentially had the entire season. All right, let's do some predictions. So, predict the podium. It is this man. It is probably Norris, and I'm going to say Leclerc. As of right now, this is my prediction. I won't change the predictions, even if something changes for FP3, by the way. I don't care too much about F1 Predict. I just think it's fun to do and sort of look at. And sort of use it as a little mental gymnastics thing. Who will take pole position? Max Verstappen leads the way with 7 poles this season. Yeah, it will be Max. Who will qualify highest for the Grand Prix? No team orders, just stopwatch. This is pretty funny. Raw pace. I'll say Gasly there. How many teams will get a car into Q3? I think it's just. I think I'm gonna put it down to 6 actually, because I think Tsunoda might be there, and if it's like Max Verstappen, Tsunoda, It's Leclerc, Hamilton, you know, the top 4 teams are all there. I think it's gonna be 6. So I think we could see a situation where all 4 top teams have all their drivers in. So I'm actually gonna say 6. Who will finish ahead in the race? I'm going to say Alonso. I know I just said that Yuki Tsunoda might get into Q3, but I'm not super hopeful that he will. His quali pace has been what's been lacking recently. His race pace has been okay. It's just his quali pace that's letting him down. So I'm gonna say Alonso. I think Alonso is on a P8 type. Behrman for 25 points is actually pretty juice. I will say he could definitely finish above all of these drivers, but we'll do this. We'll do Alonso. Who will say the fastest pit stop time? I'm just gonna keep guessing Ferrari or something else. I don't know. I'll do. I'll do Ferrari. 15 points over 10 points for McLaren, sure. Will the safety car or VSC be required during the Grand Prix? Sure, yes. Who will set the fastest lap time of the race? I'm just gonna say Max Verstappen. That's what he usually does. Which team will score the more? Which team will score more points this weekend? Well, if I'm assuming Max wins, it's gonna be Red Bull Racing. Are there a lot of Sainz fans? Stonks for driver of the day. That's a good shout, actually, Ratio. It's a good shout. What are your thoughts about DNF? Like who I think will DNF? I don't know. I couldn't predict that. Red Bull pit stops? Sure. I mean, this is literally just guesswork anyway. We'll do Red Bull. But if it's Ferrari, I'm gonna. You owe me points, Racing. If it's Ferrari, you owe me points. Like if it ends up being Ferrari. Max Verstappen fastest lap. Red Bull Racing score more points, and then we will see a new winner. No. We will not. There we go. That's F1 Predict for you. Alright, so back to the team. So, in terms of my transfers, right now I think this is looking likely to be the best one. Ooh, I just remembered I should definitely open team submissions. I'm very sorry about that, I completely forgot. Whoops. Send messages. Allow. There you go. Alright. Team submissions channel is open on Discord. Make sure you post it there. We're definitely going to discuss a lot of team submissions today. I think we'll probably do team submissions way earlier than we usually do them. So we'll do team submissions in like 10 minutes. So go post your teams in team submissions. Best B tier constructor this week? Oh, none of them. I actually hate literally all of them. But if I had to pick one, it's not Williams because Williams is technically an A tier constructor now. If I had to pick one of the 4, probably Aston Martin. But I hate all of them with a burning passion. We're going to move on. Can you tell I'm stressed? I feel stressed. I have a lot of things to do today. I have a lot of things to do before... Oops, that's not what I wanted to do. We are going to move on to, before we do team submissions, we're gonna do the asset tier list real quick, or the driver tier list for Mexico. We didn't do one last week in Kota, but we had too many things to discuss there. I mean, we have a lot of things to discuss now today, but I think we have to actually go through all the drivers once over, and then we'll do team submissions. So let me set that up real quick. Let me set that up real quick. There we go. Alright, which driver should we rate first? Spam the chat. First name I see. Completely forgot Williams was an A tier. They 100% stay away. I mean, it's not like you get them for budget reasons now anyway. So if you think Williams are really good, then like Williams are, you know, maybe an option. But I just don't think so. Charles first. All right, this was the actually in Singapore, since we didn't do one in Kota. So let's just jumble all of these up and begin the picking race. So the unique was first with Charles Leclerc, and I agree that Charles Leclerc is someone we should discuss. He's someone who was owned by like 2% of the top 500, like, you know, 2 people in the top 500 last week, and showed some pace in FP2. It's a track that Ferrari are usually pretty good at, I would say. They've also brought some track-specific upgrades. So I rate them, and considering he's also cheaper than George Russell now, I think he's not S tier because he's not must-have, right? S tier is must-have. He's just a good asset. I think it's the first time in a long time that I'm putting a Ferrari driver in A tier. Then we saw Norris first. Well, Norris second, I suppose. I think Norris is quite a difficult one to fit in. But I have a way of doing so, right? I can do this and get Norris in. Like, what's better? McLaren plus Russell, or Red Bull Racing plus Norris? I don't actually know the answer to that question. I think it could be Red Bull Racing plus Norris. But I am not so, again, I don't think I want to mess too much with this. However, if these are the 2 drivers I want on my 3X, either in Brazil or in Qatar, then this is probably how I have to do it. And I think that's the only way to do it. I think unless you're like Fraser. Fraser, can you afford McLaren here? Like, can you afford Verstappen, Norris, McLaren? Because I feel like that is like a different echelon of price, you know, budgets that I'm not at the moment. Okay, you can afford it, yeah. So I feel like for us normal people, this is a really good 3X. Not obviously in Mexico, but in the next, like in the sprint weekends coming up. And so I think I will be running a team like this for one of those sprints, because I want to put the 3X on Verstappen and the 2X on Norris. As things look now, you know, things can always change. So I think like in terms of where I rank Norris then, I think he's an A-tier asset. He's just difficult to afford because of his price, right? You have to build a certain type of team to afford him. I think he's a great differential this week if you want to go against Max Verstappen. Now, I'm not saying you should go against Max Verstappen. Let me make that perfectly clear. But if you want to go against Max Verstappen, Norris is your bet on the 2X. And I think it could pay off. Like, Norris could definitely pop up with a win. And stun. So yeah, I think Norris is a good asset. Difficult to afford. Definitely easier when McLaren is not must-have, because Piastri is looking a bit shaky right now. So Norris, definitely a viable pick. Not S tier though, not must have, and probably slightly lower than Leclerc just because of. I mean, let's just go for this obvious one. Oh, no, that was that was not the obvious one. Whoops. This is the obvious one. If Max Verstappen was an S tier, I think Norris would be. Obviously, he would be better, but like, I think Norris would be in a lot of teams right now if Max Verstappen is not on the most godly run of all time. And because Max is all but like all but must own, I think Norris kind of struggles to get into teams, which is why I think he's also like that's also the reason why he's such a great differential if you want to go against the grain and bet on a Max DNF or something like that. Because if you do that, if Max DNFs and you have Norris and Norris wins, I mean you don't even half your rank, like you reduce your rank by 70% probably. All right, next driver. I'll take one from Twitch. If you're on Twitch right now, tell me which driver I should rate next. I usually just take it from YouTube, so I thought I'd be kind. Antonelli first from Big Papa Bob. Thank you so much for being on the Twitch side of things. So, where is the kid? He's back here. Okay, Antonelli is one of those... Okay, since we're doing Antonelli, I'm actually going to do Antonelli, Tsunoda, and Albon as sort of a trio here. And the reason for that is because they are very clearly like a category of driver that you have to have a certain type of team to afford. There are two different team variations where these three drivers are viable. Let me switch my screen so you can see what I'm doing. There are two types of teams where these three are viable, and it's either when you go completely McLaren-less at the type of budget that I have, right? Because then you can... I mean, I can't stress to Antonelli here, but I'm pretty close. I'm pretty close. So, it's either on a build like this, where either you have slightly more money and can reach Kimi Antonelli. I know there's like 5 million between these three assets, but they're just in the same price category because there's such a jump down to the next. Like, I mean, Lance Stroll is not viable at 8.7. So, it's either a team like this, completely McLaren-less, which I think is viable, by the way, but it's definitely off meta. The second viable way is if you're on a lower budget and you can't afford a 4A lineup. Let me get my boys back. So I obviously have 25.5 million here to select my second premium driver, but there's a very strong possibility. Sorry. There's a very strong possibility that you're sitting on up to 10 million less than I am. And if that's you, then, I mean, Max Verstappen just must have at this point. So it's Max Verstappen plus one of these three, right? And I think Kimi Antonelli is pretty good there. Now, because we're doing Kimi, I think it's important to compare him with Yuki Tsunoda in particular. Because Yuki Tsunoda is 5 million cheaper. Looks great for budget. I know budget doesn't matter that much, but it's it's still worth mentioning. And Red Bull have brought upgrades for Yuki's car specifically to bring it closer to Max. I currently don't know which one of these I would go for. I guess it sort of depends on what type of other assets you can afford with it. Because if you're just doing Kimi Antonelli, and then you're doing like, Colapinto, Gasly, instead of having Sainz and, Lawson and Behrman, and Hadjar. If you're doing that, I don't think Kimi Antonelli is better. However, even though you sort of had a great weekend last weekend, I don't really trust him pure points-wise. I think both of these drivers are definitely pickable. They're not A tier by any means. But what determines their worth and which one of these two is better than the other is depending on which other assets you can afford with it, because they are quite different price points. So they're different price points, but they're the same category of driver. And with Alex Albon in there, I think he's the worst of the three right now. slight downturn in form. Sainz just looks faster than him right now. And I would rather have Yuki Tsunoda over Albon. And I would rather have Kimi Antonelli over Albon. So, I think Albon is C tier. Doesn't mean he's unpickable. But like, if you have an Albon in, I would probably just take the bet on Yuki Tsunoda and then upgrade one of my other drivers anyway. But again, they're very dependent on what type of budget you have, what type of team structure you have, and which drivers you can afford with them. At 4.5 million, we're going to do both the Alpine boys. Budget, as I said, doesn't matter as much anymore. It's all about the points. These guys are not bringing in the points. You pick them if you must, and there's no other reason to pick them. Which one you want to go for? Like, I think for this race, I would probably go Colapinto just because he's more likely to rise in price, and at least you can gain something out of owning him if he scores like a 5-pointer. But yeah, it's not a driver you're happy to pick at any point, and if you could upgrade one of these to a Carlos Sainz, you do it every time. I think Sainz is still S tier, despite his DNF last week. He has a grid penalty, which I think only aids him. We'll have to wait and see, though. It is Mexico, so maybe it doesn't actually help him. But if he goes out in Q2 with that grid penalty, then it's great. If he goes out in Q3 with a grid penalty, I think I would be pretty... I think he has more potential actually, like, not with the grid penalty in Q3, if you understand what I mean. So, it depends on where he qualifies. But he's also a driver of the day shout, as someone in chat pointed out earlier in the stream. I think Carlos Sainz is just... For the price point, you can't really ask for much better. 2 podiums in the last 3 races for Williams. Like, at that price point, he's probably going to rise in price as long as it's a decent race. Yes, he has a grid penalty, but I think that it strengthens him as an asset unless, like, he gets to, like, a... You know, if he's P6 and then, like, it's moved down to P11, that's pretty annoying. Like, you're probably... Is it 5 or 3 places? I can't remember. Does anyone in chat know? What's up, Kalanori? Love the Halloween vibes? I don't know what you're talking about. Was it 3 or 5? 5 places. Oh, yeah. Okay, thank you. So, like, if he qualifies P6, you're pissed because then he moves to P11, and that's, like, just not good. But if he goes out in Q2, which I think is, like, you know, a reasonable place for him to go out in, and he gets moved down to, like, P18, I think you're happy about it. So, it all depends on where he qualifies, I suppose. But considering if he performs well, you know, if he finishes in the points, especially with that grid penalty, he is definitely someone to monitor for driver of the day, and can definitely get a massive haul this week. If he finishes in the points. Because, like, imagine he qualifies P6, moves down to P11, and finishes, like, P8, P7. That's definitely a driver of the day, you know, candidacy. So, and that's probably, like, a 25-30 pointer. So I can definitely see Sainz scoring 25 points this week. Famous last words, who's going to DNF now? Classic. Why is your Twitch in slow mode, by the way? I think it's 2-second slow mode, so you should be fine. Oh, 5-second. Yeah, it's 5-second just so I don't get spammed, because Twitch has a much bigger bot problem than YouTube does. So I don't want people to, like, I don't want random people to pop into the Twitch stream and just start spamming weird stuff. So at least I have some time to react and remove them. But yeah, I think YouTube is on 2 seconds, so it's literally just to stop spamming. Yeah. All good though. Yeah, I see you. Right now we're on like 5 viewers on Twitch, so we're sort of fine. But we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens next year if the Twitch side grows slightly. Next up, who should we do? Dude, this piece of hair does not want to stick to the rest. Like, I need to. It keeps literally falling in my eye, and this makeup is itchy. Alright. Next driver. Hadjar. Good shout. Hadjar's difficult to call. I think I don't think that many people own him. Let me actually check that out right now because I'm actually curious. I don't know how highly owned he is amongst the elite strategists. Hadjar is owned by 18.4%. He was sold by 57.4% of people, which is pretty remarkable, I'm not gonna lie. So he's only owned by 18% right now. I think Hadjar is fine. Emphasis on fine. He is also one of those drivers in that price category with signs that can pop up with a monster haul. Which is why like he's just straight up better than the Alpine guys. However, I wouldn't be super excited to go out and buy Hadjar this week. If you own him, I don't think he's a must sell. But I do think there are other drivers better than him. I'm gonna put him B tier, but it's like a low B. Like he's fine. He's literally the emphasis of fine. And I think Lawson's the same, by the way. I think Lawson has been better over the last couple of weeks, just for points. But they're fine. They're good. They're good. Like they're fine is probably a bit mean. They're good. Like they're just good assets. But there are a few drivers that I would have above them in the same price category, and one of them is Alonso. And the other one is Sainz. I think Alonso and Sainz are the two that are above them. Yeah, they're just the most informed midfield drivers right now. And if I told you that Alonso finished P9 from now until the end of the season, you would believe me, right? So I think Alonso is a super fine long-term hold for the rest of the season. And you don't really need to do anything with him as an asset, because again, budget doesn't matter. So even if he drops, you're fine. I think these are the only two that I would maybe transfer them out for. Maybe an Ollie Behrman. I'm gonna put Ollie Behrman also in A tier. I think these three are the best midfield assets right now. And I think these three are the only ones actually worth making a transfer for this week. Is probably how I should word it. You know? Like I wouldn't bother doing Bortoleto as a sideways move to Liam Lawson. Bortoletto's also B tier, by the way. He's fine. Like, he's good. You could just hold him. He's good for budget this week. If anything, he can rise in price. It's nice to hold him for Brazil. He could be a driver of the day shout there. I think he's on par with Lawson and Hadjar. He's one of those, like, if you have him, you have him. If you don't, you don't. It's fine. He's just a good asset. I would consider selling him to one of these three drivers, especially someone like a Sainz or Alonso. But you don't need to either. You don't need to, and I think these three are very similar in that way. All right, we have a couple of drivers left. Who should we? Who's next up? Should we talk about the big one, the big P? I don't know how to judge Piastri right now. He just doesn't look in form. And both over we're not only discussing this race, but he's coming into this race on a bad run of form. And then he's performing like that in FP2. Granted, it is only FP2. But he just doesn't look close to Norris anymore. I don't know what's happened. I really don't know what happened. Have McLaren, the Oscar Piastri fans will be out in full force to accuse McLaren of tuning up Norris's car and tuning down Piastri's because they want Norris to be the champion. I'm not gonna spread that, I'm not gonna make that that rumor take off. But he just doesn't look comfortable. He's not C tier. Sure, like he is. I think he's. If I had him this week, would I sell him? Probably. I think if my team right now was Max Verstappen, Oscar Piastri, I think I would have just locked in the move already to sell him. I think PS3's C tier this week. I think objectively he's like a B tier asset because he can still score high. But just like on form and on vibes, I would sell him this week. I would sell him this week. Hadjar or Bortoletto? Whichever one you have. But if you're buying one of them, probably... Oh, I don't know who I would buy if I had to buy one of them. Sell it for a -10? I probably wouldn't. I wouldn't sell PS3 for a -10. I think that's a bit crazy. Because like he could still be P4 and that's a decent score of points anyway. So yeah, I wouldn't -10 him. But for free transfer, I think he would be my priority to sell. Which is crazy. Sonoda has a bad history with Mexico. He does. You're not wrong. Which is why he's only B tier. As for the final drivers, I think George Russell is I mean, he's just B tier, right? He's fine. He's not up with these two, I don't think. But I think he's fine. I don't know where to put Lewis. Listen, okay? There's no reason to have Lewis Hamilton over Charles Leclerc. And like, the only time it's going to be worth it to have Lewis Hamilton over Charles Leclerc is going to be when he gets his podium in the driver of the day and he scores a 45 pointer. But like, no, listen. Why would you ever buy Lewis Hamilton over Leclerc for your fantasy team? I don't. There's no reason. George Leclerc warranted? Yeah, that's probably what I'm doing this week. Are you a hater? No, I'm the biggest Hamilton fan. Like, I love Lewis Hamilton. I wanted him to do really well in Ferrari. I'm a Ferrari fan. Like, I'm literally in the Lewis Hamilton league on F1 Fantasy. Like, that's the league I'm in. Proof right here. Look. I'm not a hater, I promise. Like, I'm literally in the Lewis Hamilton league, by the way. But, like, there's no reason to have him in F1 Fantasy because he's... Like, if he was 2 million cheaper than Leclerc, there's an argument for it, right? You could actually consider the move. But there's just no way you do... Like, actually no way you do... Hamilton over Leclerc. I love Lewis Hamilton. There's just... I can't put him higher. I actually can't. I guess he's sort of fine. He's just like compared to Leclerc. I think. Listen, if Hamilton is P3, he's gonna score 45 points because he's gonna get driver of the day. That is just happening, right? But we can't predict when that's going to happen. And right now, Leclerc just looks faster than him, and I think the front three are locked out. And I think the most he can do is a P4 again, like he did in Kota, which again is not bad. But, like, why would you have him over Leclerc? That's the problem. Like, if Leclerc wasn't so good, like, if Leclerc was here, like, they would both be here. You know what I mean? But Leclerc is up here. And it's the same price. Unsubscribing and unliking the video, blocked and reported. No, please. Please. Neutrum on Twitch. Sorry, I missed the message. You said, "Hey Raid, at 133 mil, I'm stuck picking between Leclerc with Mercedes or Antonelli with Red Bull Racing. What's your quick shot on that?" Leclerc with Mercedes. I think Red Bull Racing and Mercedes will score similarly. Like, unless Max wins literally every race until the end of time, right? I prefer Leclerc over Antonelli by quite some margin. Alright, as for these three... Dude, these three are so boring. If you want to be differential, you buy one of these three guys because, like, no one owns them. Like, actually, no one has him. Hulkenberg by the top 500. Hulkenberg's owned by 4.4%. Stroll is owned by 0.2%. And Ocon is owned by 0%. Yikes. He's the only driver, by the way. The only driver that no one in the top 500 has. So if you want a differential, you pick one of these three guys. But like the thing is, they're just more expensive than the other good assets for no reason. Like they don't warrant that extra price at all. Like they just don't. They just don't. So why should you have them? I don't see the reason to. Let me show like Stroll at 8.7. No thanks. Okay, I guess Ole Behrman is more expensive. Okay, I didn't know Esteban. I didn't know Ocon was down to 7.1. So I guess Ocon is the biggest differential pick you could go for. And I guess I don't hate that. There's a market for it. I'm trying to talk myself into why Ocon is a good pick here. He is cheaper than Behrman. I didn't actually realize that. I thought he was more expensive still. They sort of lapped each other last week. Switched places. Yeah, okay, listen. I'm gonna put Ocon in C tier. Okay, you know, Lance Stroll, you get to go down there. Have fun. Like, you can pick Behrman, or you can pick Ocon or Hulkenberg as a differential pick. And I think it could work out for you. It could work out for you. I wouldn't have Stroll, though. I think this is the tier list. With a big caveat that, like, I don't think Hamilton is a bad driver. I think he could end up P4. It's literally because Leclerc is so much better. And the same price. Listen, this is just F1 fantasy, okay? That comment is so funny. I swear, if you would Stroll above Lewis, you need your head looking at. I'm not. I think Hamilton is a good pick. It's just Leclerc is better at the same price. So that's literally the reason. You got you compare them to each other. If we're taking -10 for Leclerc, I would say no. I think Leclerc is scoring like 25 points. So unless the person you're selling, you're expecting them to score less than 15, I would say no. I think Leclerc is like a P3 for, you know, ish 25, 30 points. Alright, so that is that. We will now go into... Also, I'm very sorry, I didn't realize that the Mexican flag was not in frame this entire time. Whoops. Alright. We're gonna do team submissions. Early team submissions. Wow. As always, if you are a member on YouTube or a subscriber on Twitch, this will be the only time I actually say this. Number one, if you're on YouTube, like the video. We have a lot more likes in us. We have like 130 people here. Likes are nowhere near close enough to that. So if you haven't liked the stream yet on YouTube, make sure you do so. On YouTube, the membership is like $2. It gives you priority team submissions. I think we're gonna get through everyone today, so you don't have to. But even better, for free over on Twitch, if you have Amazon Prime or whatever it's called now. I think they changed the name of the service. I don't care. It's, you know, if you have Twitch Prime available, make sure you use it, because if you don't use it, that's literally just money that goes to Jeff Bezos, and he doesn't need more money. So you don't need to give the Twitch Prime to me. Just make sure you give it to a streamer every month when that free month runs out. And as a perk, you get to join the exclusive channel on the Discord if you have your Discord account linked with either YouTube or Twitch. And you have priority when it comes to team submissions each week. So, with that said, we have 2 priority team submissions this week. And that is Fraser, as always. This freaking strand of hair, dude, I'm going crazy. It's literally like, oh my god, I'm so itchy. Oh, I feel like crying. Team submissions when? Team submissions now! 3 options this week. 130.8 million budget. Yeah, I feel like your budget gain is kind of slowed down, Fraser. Huh? I guess you've been kind of unlucky the last couple of weeks. Yeah, very few. I mean, it's not a proper deadline stream, which is why like people haven't realized that the stream is on, which is fine. I definitely conceded to that when I decided to go to Halloween party rather than do a deadline stream. So 3 different options. Badly wanted to do just 1 transfer this week to have 3 for Brazil. If Piastri improves in FP3, I'm gonna do that. So Alonso in here. Okay, so you have Hadjar in. Planning on just doing Alonso in, keeping Piastri. Here is Leclerc in. Oh, here's Leclerc Ferrari. And here it is Norris and Ferrari. I think all of these teams are obviously great. I agree with what you're saying here, that if Piastri improves in FP3, I think this is the best play. Why Sainz S tier? Because he is very cheap, so he's easy to afford. He's in great form. A grid penalty increases his potential for a big haul in F1 Fantasy because he can potentially get overtakes and positions gained. And in addition to that, I think he's one of the driver of the day favorites because he's very popular in Mexico. So I think overall, I think he has the potential for a really big haul this week. And even if he doesn't, he's just a fantastic haul until the end of the season because he's in a relatively fast midfield car. He has 2 podiums in his last 3. I could go on and on, but I think Sainz is S tier for sure on the driver's side. But thank you for the question, though. Always feel free to come at me when I do my takes and tell me that I'm wrong because I love to argue. Well, not argue, but like try and get my point across. So yeah, I think this is perfectly, like, if Piastri looks better in FP3, I think this is probably the way to play it. But I don't even necessarily think you need to do Red Bull to Ferrari. I think if you want to keep Hadjar, you could just do Piastri to Leclerc and not do the Ferrari transfer. I think that's also fine. And just like stick McLaren, Red Bull, Verstappen, Leclerc. I think that's also like a decent shout. And then while I see the vision here, I think it's better to do one of the, like either this or this without doing this and have 3 transfers in Brazil, and then go for Verstappen, Norris, like McLaren, Ferrari, or McLaren, Red Bull team with 3 free transfers in Brazil. So while I think this could definitely score really well, I think I agree that you should try and save a transfer as possible. Okay, now you see the points. I don't know what I'm doing. Good. like not good. Like I you don't need to see the point, but like I think Sainz is just a really good asset right now. Then next up, we have Calandori defending against my rival who gained 80 points on me using his limitless last week. Current lead is now 122. We both have 3x left only. 122 points, unless you have a disaster class you should be able to hold. 137.2 million budget is pretty juicy. Let's see, what do we have here? Love the little cut-ins here to see. Ferrari in for Mercedes, Gasly, okay, so you downgrade Bortoletto, and that gives you enough money in the bank to get McLaren Ferrari. That is very, very interesting, but I don't think you need to. I don't love it. I don't see the Ferrari vision quite yet. This is the Red Bull Racing. Don't mind that. Leclerc in, sure. You have to do that. Otherwise you'll be 0.1 short. Because I cannot afford this team. Like, you must be just above my price point. Yeah, because I'm like 2 million shorter than you. Yeah, this team looks good. This team looks pretty disgusting. And I think, like, because everyone has Verstappen, the differential is actually having Red Bull Racing now, and hoping that Yuki Tsunoda scores well enough to not tank it, because you get Max Verstappen points twice. So I definitely prefer Team 2 over Team 1. And this is getting Piastri back in. I don't think I would do that just based on what we've seen so far. So unless Piastri improves in FP3, I wouldn't consider this. I think the other thing to consider with this team is also to save a transfer for Brazil, right? I think there are... Like, you're literally on the exact same team as me, right? And I'm considering just straight up rolling or just doing, like, only doing Russell to Leclerc. But I do think this is really strong. I like this team a lot. So I don't mind this. And then if you want Verstappen Norris for the 3x in like Brazil, you could always do like McLaren down to Mercedes and then do Leclerc up to Norris next week as like your move. You know what I mean? But yeah, I don't like this one because you have to bring in Gasly, and I think Bortoleto is a fine hold and also could rise in price and also could be really good in Brazil for driver of the day there. So it's not like a driver that you have to sell. Yeah, and I don't rate Team 3, unfortunately, just because I don't think Piastri is the one to buy this week. So, with that, I prefer this one. Prefer Team 2. Also, I realize you can't see the entire thing. You can kind of see it here. But, prefer Team 2. But you could also consider just making one move, like I am, to save a transfer. Alright. Can you add me as a member perk on Discord? Never mind, linked it. There you go. Yeah, I see that you managed to get yours in. Between holding a transfer Team 2. Nice, thanks, Rain. Yep, that's definitely what I would do for you. Alright, Big Papa Bob over on Twitch. Let's see what we have here. Leaning towards Red Bull Racing and McLaren. But that kind of locks me into that build. No idea. Or Red Bull Racing Mercedes, I assume. But that kind of locks me into that build. No idea. No negative chip. Only chip left. 2 transfers. 140.5 is a lot of money. Pick current team option 1 and 2 order. Alright. Current team. McLaren Williams. Gotcha. Kimi Antonelli, Russell Verstappen. Alright. Yeah, that's a lot of budget right here. A lot of budget to play with. I agree that Williams has to move back. This is a lot of transfers, no? Oh, you're only changing the constructors on the final one. This is very heavy on the Mercedes. Very heavy on the Mercedes picks. I don't know if I rate it with Mercedes not looking that dominant. Like, there's a possibility that they could be 7th and 8th this week. So, as boring as it is, I prefer this one. I mean, this is just like my team but Yuki Tsunoda, which is crazy that you can afford that. So, I think it's probably this one. And this, I mean, if you want to save money, Yuki Tsunoda could go down to someone else, but like I think Yuki Tsunoda is a good pick here. So I think it's probably this one. You could also consider Big Papa Bob. Instead of doing Tsunoda Mercedes, you could do Red Bull Racing and like a Ole Behrman. I think that's better. Yeah, I think this is interesting because, okay, so Yuki Tsunoda, I don't know if he will be that good this week, but I think he's good enough to where it's nice to have the Red Bull Racing asset. And with the Red Bull Racing asset, you get Max Verstappen's points twice. So, in essence, buying Red Bull Racing is kind of like just having Tsunoda, but you also get Max Verstappen, you know what I mean? So I prefer, I think you can't afford, can you afford to just do Red Bull Racing here? 2.4 million in the bank. What's the difference between the two? No, you would have to do, yeah, so I actually prefer, Kendra says, oh, I forgot to have autopilot also, worth popping it this week. I would pop autopilot in the other sprint week. So I would pop autopilot in one sprint week and the 3x in the other. That's what I would do. If you have both those chips remaining. So, Big Papa Bob. I think this is the best option you've given me. But I think another thing to consider would be Red Bull Racing instead of Mercedes. And instead of Yuki Tsunoda going like an Ollie Behrman or maybe a cheeky Esteban Ocon, you know, 0% owned. Reyna, you gonna go trick-or-treating? No. Why would you think that? I don't know what you're talking about. Thank you for the submission. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. Who's this? H. Oh my god. Okay, well, I can't turn off streamer mode, so I don't know who this is. I'm so sorry. It just says H. I don't recognize the profile. Whatever. Would you change Russell for Leclerc? Bortoleto for... Haluku, thank you, Calandori, thank you. Haluku, alright, so, would you choose Russell for Leclerc, Bortoleto for Alonso, or both? Or save one free transfer? I would save a transfer. Obviously, I like having Alonso in, but you can kind of buy Alonso next week, couldn't you? Like, if you do Russell for Leclerc this week, keep Bortoleto, and then Colapinto rises in price, Alonso falls in price, you might be able to afford like Colapinto to Alonso next week. You see, okay, that is a vision right there, because like obviously you're fine having Colapinto, but ideally you would want this to be Fernando Alonso. But like, yeah, so Russell Leclerc is cheaper than Russell anyway. You do Russell to Leclerc, Alonso falls in price, Colapinto rises in price, and the next week you just do Colapinto to Alonso, easy. Yeah, so you do Russell for Leclerc only and save a transfer. That's what you do. Because I think Bortoleto is fine to hold. You don't have to sell Bortoleto for Alonso. Only English, please, Plotcon. Alright, so that is all the priority team submissions. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. Let's go over to the general team submissions. We have a solid chunk actually, even though it's an early one. Can you guys hear that, by the way? They're drilling like next door. Maybe you can't because does it pick up on the mic? Chat feels so dead. I mean, it's fine, Christy. It's fine. Yeah, there's like 100 people here. Like, you know, chat feels dead, but like, there's still 100 people watching. People are listening to the show. Okay, I'm kind of losing it here with Discord, so I'm gonna try and close it and open it again and see if that allows me to remove streamer mode. No. Okay. Do I have to like force close it? Quit. There we go. I want to see who the people are. Colapinto driver today in Brazil too. I mean, Bortoleto is more likely, but I can see it. But like, he would actually need to do really well. Oops, showing DMs. DMs leaked. DMs leaked. There we go. Alright, disabled. Lovely, 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 lovely. Now we can actually see who we're talking about here. Hello, Sanjo. Hajar, any good this week? Hajar's fine. Yeah, I placed in B tier. I can show my tier list real quick before we continue. This is the tier list. So this is the tier list for this week. Screenshot it if you want it, because it's going away in 3, 2, 1. Alright, so We have Monto, 136.2, 3 transfers, team 1, current, what to do. We have a team, Gasly in here. Piastri down to Russell, Behrman up. 3 transfers. Yeah, just use 2 of them. I mean, this is perfect, no? I mean, yeah, either this, but like this Russell pick could also be Leclerc, right? You could do either or. You don't really need to pick one. Yeah, I definitely like this one over this one. I personally think selling McLaren is too radical of a move. If you think that's the way to play because you want to be differential because everyone has McLaren, do so. Like, that is probably the best way to be differential this week. Like, the best way to be differential is probably like Esteban Ocon because no one has him. Maybe, like, I wouldn't go against Max Verstappen, but like that's the other one that everyone has, right? So if you want to be super brave, you go against Max Verstappen. I don't know why you would do that though. And then the next one is like McLaren, right? Those are like the 3 big differential points here. And I think it's fine to go against McLaren, but I wouldn't personally like recommend that. You know what I mean? Oops. Sorry. Yeah, I really like this team. And then obviously Russell here could be Russell or Leclerc. Just wait for FP3 and check data after that, which one you want. But like, you get rid of Gasly, which is obviously a problem as always. And the Piastri's not performed that well. 2x on Verstappen. Russell or Leclerc, whichever one you want. I like it. Esra, I have no idea what I should do. Obviously switch to Max. Any help? Yes, obvious thing is switch to Max. But you do have Lando Norris. So, like, obvious thing is, yes, switch to Max. But you could, like, that's what I'm talking about. Like, do you want to play it differential? You also only have 1 free transfer available. You've already used 1. And since you have Red Bull Racing... do you guys hear that? Oh, whatever. Why Hammy Boy F tier? Okay, I'm so sorry. I had an entire thing about it because I think there's no reason to buy him over Leclerc. Like, I think he could finish P4, and that's a good F1 fantasy asset. But I think Leclerc is just better, right? And because Leclerc is just better, you know, they're the same price. Like, if Hamilton was 2 million cheaper, there would actually be an argument to be had. But if you're in the situation where, like, I'm gonna pick Lewis Hamilton, just buy Leclerc instead. And the only way, like, Hamilton is going to score enough to be worth it is if he actually gets that podium, because then he's going to get driver of the day and he's going to score like a 45-pointer. So unless he... Jesus Christ. No, it's fine. It's fine. That makeup doesn't burn you in this heat. What heat? I live in Sweden. It's cold. Okay, this drill is actually gonna make me lose my mind. I don't know if you guys can. I don't know if this pick gets picked up, but it's incredibly annoying. Can you hear constructors? No, I think they're pretty self-explanatory this week. Yeah, you can hear it now. Okay, it's literally like right there. It's right freaking there. Ugh. You guys can only like barely hear it, but yeah, it's not okay. It's good that it's not the end of the world for you guys. It is the end of the world for me because it's really loud for me, so it's really distracting. I'm gonna try and focus up. Okay, Esra. Obvious move is yes. Norris to Verstappen. Verstappen looks really good, but do you want to play differential? There are like there are multiple things you can do to play differential and try and gain rank. One of them is to bet against Max. The other is to bet against McLaren, because those two are so highly owned. Do you want to do that? Yes or no? I don't, like, that's up to you, right? I think the obvious move that would, like, objectively improve the team is Norris to Verstappen. But, like, even then, if Norris is P2, it's not like you're losing out that much. I think this team is fine. In terms of what you would do, like, with 1 free transfer, do you have enough to upgrade Gasly to anything, actually? Yeah, you do. 7 million, right? Let me check. Oh my my god, please god, stop drilling. I'm gonna lose my mind. Yeah, okay, obvious move is Gasly up to, like, Hajar or... Who else did you have? Did you have Bortoleto? No, like, yeah, I think obvious move is just Gasly up to one of them. Ham should be in C. I considered putting Hamilton in C, but... Like, every situation I could think of where you're buying Hamilton, you should buy Leclerc instead. So that is the reason. Yeah. I think actually for you, Ezra, the obvious switch is Gasly up to Hajar or Bortoleto. Or something like that, right? That is the actual obvious move. But if you do that, you are playing without Max Verstappen, and that is a major... Like, so if Max Verstappen wins the race, you will lose rank. If Max Verstappen doesn't win and Norris wins instead, you will gain massively. Dvala. 3 transfers. Want to use autopilot in Brazil or Vegas. Makes sense. 3 free transfers. I mean, it's just my team, right? Yeah, it's my exact team, but you have an extra transfer. I mean, luxury moves that you could make, again, it's very similar to me. Like, this team doesn't have to change. Like, this team is good enough. Which is it's a nice situation to be in, right? It's the situation I'm in as well. So all you have is definitely save a transfer, right? Don't use them all. But it's luxury moves. I would say consider Ollie Behrman, consider Leclerc. But it's very vibes based for both you and me, so I can't give much more tips than that because it's kind of like I'm in the same predicament. Like, I don't really know what to do because the team is already good, right? I shouldn't actually touch my face because that just made the itch worse. LAN. Alright. Current team. It is my team. Alright. I'm going to skip yours, LAN, just because I've already discussed... this is my exact team, so I've already discussed it both here with Dvala and when I do it myself. Yeah, sorry. I want to get through as many as possible, and if your team is the same as someone I've already discussed, I'm just listen to what I said about those teams. You can always scroll back in the stream. So if a driver has an outside chance of driving, then how can they be F tier? Because you can't really predict when Hamilton's gonna score his podium, right? He hasn't done so far this season. That's why. But I get what you mean. I get what you mean. And okay. Current Verstappen, Russell, Bortoleto, Gasly, rolling 1 transfer for Brazil. Yuki's body rise also looks nice. I mean, I prefer this one. I think this. I really like the Red Bull Racing McLaren partnership in the constructor lineup. I really like having Verstappen and Red Bull Racing because, like, if Verstappen wins, which he will, you just, you have the points from him in the constructor as well. So I just really dig the Red Bull Racing constructor. I think Leclerc is a good pick. I like this team. Again, Gasly, but it's whatever. Yeah, I think this team is good. This is the one I would go with. Variations possible at the moment is mad. Yeah, it is truly astonishing. Jaeger, similar situation as me. This is my exact team, but Colapinto instead of Alonso. So, again, McLaren, if you want to go, I'm going to say this again, just so everyone listens. Yes, an option is to do McLaren to Red Bull Racing. I wouldn't sell Sainz. If you're selling one of the two, I would sell Bortoleto, but that's besides the point. If you're selling McLaren, you're taking a big risk. I think it's viable. I wouldn't do it. That is too much risk for me, in my opinion. But it is a risk you could take, and it is a risk that could pay off, and it actually has paid off if you did it 3 races ago, which no one was crazy enough to do, right? So, I think McLaren... I'm going to try and not discuss that too much. And that, like, the McLaren being sold just opens up so many more possibilities in terms of team builds with the likes of Tsunoda, with the likes of Kimi Antonelli, etc., etc. That I do think it should at least be considered by everyone. Whether you actually go through with it is another question entirely, right? Good morning, just joined. Welcome to the stream. We're going through team submissions right now. But you can scroll back if you want to see the tier. We've done tier lists and discuss some of my team issues as well. No, I don't really have team issues right now. Yeah, I think I on the McLaren argument of selling McLaren, I think the McLaren constructor being sold to something like this so that you could do something like this for the 3X in like Brazil or Qatar. Now we're talking something that's like something that I would do personally, because I'm not going to sell McLaren constructors this week. Oops, that was tier list. Back to the team. We'll do. How many more do we have? Oh, there's quite a lot. Yeah. There's quite a lot here. Where were we? I'm gonna skip a few here that looks very similar to what we've already discussed. Sorry about that. Yeah, this is very similar to what we. It's slightly lower budget again with Kimi Antonelli. I think for you, like selling McLaren here could allow you to upgrade Kimi Antonelli to someone else. Oh wait, you can afford this with the. Oh yeah, this is the play. This looks fantastic. I love this team. Oh yeah, you had 7.4 million in the bank here with Antonelli. Gotcha. Alright, yeah, Henke, easy. Switch to this. Alright. We've done a lot of team submissions now. I can't get to all of them. I am going to do Charms, though, that just commented, because I think it's interesting with 100 million. Quite new to F1 Fantasy with only around 100 million budget. Any recommendations? Welcome so much to the community. I'm so glad that you are here. I think it's a great time to start playing F1 Fantasy because you learn how the game works and then you're ready to go for next season so you don't make mistakes early on. For 100 million, I think something like this second team of yours here is what you should be, or second or third team here is what you should go for. I think Max Verstappen is the best 2X right now that everyone has, and then you should have one premium constructor and one cheaper one. It's very tempting to have two premium constructors, but since you are forced to put the 2X on Kimi Antonelli, I don't think it's worth it. So I think starting new, if you're starting the game new right now with 100 million, one premium driver, which is probably Max, one premium constructor, which is probably McLaren, but could be someone else. It could be Red Bull Racing, it could be Ferrari, it could be even Mercedes. And then you pick as you know the best cheap drivers that you can, and a constructor of choice, whichever one you want, right? I think something that is worth mentioning here is you're at a 0.0 million because you picked Racing Bulls here, but then you're forced into Gasly and Colapinto. I think there's a world, because like the cheap constructors don't score that many points anyway. There's a world in which you pick the cheapest one, which is I think, not Alpine. You wouldn't pick the Alpine constructor, but you pick like a Aston Martin that's cheaper than Racing Bulls, or a Haas or a Kick Sauber, which gives you some extra money in the bank to only play with one of these two and upgrade the other one, because I do think you want something like Sainz and Alonso and maybe like a Lawson or something. So like downgrade Racing Bulls to maybe an Aston Martin, and that like gives you the money to upgrade Gasly or Colapinto, because I don't love having both of them. Hello, mate. Just woke up. Only 49 likes. People get the number. Thank you so much, Rob. Thank you so much. Are you doing a proper deadline stream later on? Rob, we need some sanity. Rain is ranking Sir Lewis's F tier. Have a word. Yeah. I'm gonna get absolutely roasted for that until the end of time, alright. Please discuss my submission. It has the best non-McLaren build with Chris is missing the name. Sure, we'll do that. Alright. Yes, these are a bit different. So we'll discuss those. These are my teams that are trying the best to run 4A but don't have the budget, and since the McLaren have gone to shit, this is what I come up with. Please help me choose one. Yeah, at 130.4 million, this is your current. Makes sense. And then selling McLaren here opens up the 4A. Beautiful. I think the reason you do something like that is specifically to I mean, avoid something like this. I mean, you do have the McLaren here, though. So, yeah, I don't like this one. Because, again, like, you're not actually running 4A here. You're just running 3A plus, but with no McLaren. Losing F3 is almost as terrifying as waking up and seeing rain in the mask. What mask? I don't know what you're talking about. Sir Lewis Hamilton, the F tier himself. Oh, are you actually 0.1 away from affording Hamilton? From affording Leclerc here? Oh, this is a -10. Okay, no -10. Oh, I suppose that's why. -10 for this team. Interesting. Yes, 0.2 away. Okay, so I guess then you actually want to go for Hamilton. That's funny. I mean, okay, in that case, I probably prefer this one. Also because here you have Colapinto. This is very difficult to call, actually. I understand the appeal of going for this one because there's no -10. But then next week, aren't you... I mean, you only probably sell like... So you do this now, no -10. And then next week you sell Tsunoda and Antonelli for the second A-tier driver plus whichever cheap driver you can afford. Yeah, that's probably what, right? I'm curious though. Also, sorry for the Discord sounds. Do not disturb. If you do this one and no -10, which is definitely like one of the picks here, don't you keep Sainz? If this is your current team? I don't understand selling Sainz over Alonso and Bortoleto. I would sell Alonso and Bortoleto above Sainz if I were you, and you can't afford that. So if you don't want to take the -10, I rate going for this, and then next week then switching to an A tier and like selling Tsunoda and Kimi Antonelli. But if you're going for a -10, I mean it's either this or I mean with this you could also go for Leclerc here instead of Russell, right? Which I think is probably what I would do to not go too hard on the Mercedes. So I prefer team 4 or team 3, but team 3 with Sainz instead of Alonso or Bortoleto. It's up to you which one you want. He was bad before stream. Yeah, I think I really like him because of the penalty and everything like that. So I prefer Sainz over Alonso Bortoleto. You can of course go without Sainz. Again, to be fair, if Sainz is a stinker, he's owned by like 90% of people. So that is also a way to climb. That is also a way to climb. All right, so we're gonna do. Thank you so much for the team submissions, guys. It is past almost. And can you tell that I'm in a rush? I am going to head off a bit earlier than expected because I have things I need to do. But before we go, I will not lock in my team. If you want to see what my final transfer ends up being, right now it's leaning towards. I mean, I'm definitely rolling. Look, that's for sure. I'm 100% saving one of my transfers for Brazil, so I'm only using one transfer. I don't know what that transfer is yet. Right now it's leaning towards Russell to Leclerc, but it could be anyone. My final team, I will post it this evening. Once, after FP3. I will make my decision after FP3. And I will post that on Twitter. So go and follow that. That's a link in the description on YouTube. And then I will also post it in my Discord in the F1 Fantasy chat there. So, as for tip of the week. I am debating how basic I make this one, right? And I mean, it is in part. It does have to do with saving transfers, but it is slightly more advanced than that because I do use that as what tip of the week quite a lot, and like it's kind of a cop out move. You know what I mean? So, tip of the week is plan your chips, team, and sprint in advance, right? There's only 5 races left of the season. Transfers you make today will have a ripple effect going forward. That is personally why I'm against selling McLaren, because I think that ripple effect kind of becomes unstoppable. For me, like for my team, planning my chips, team, and sprints in advance means save a transfer. That might not be the thing for you, right? We'll watch the rest of our back over breakfast. Everyone leave a like on the way out. Thank you so much, Rob. Rob is an absolute legend. Make sure to be there for his deadline stream later tonight. Tip of the week is essentially make sure to plan out your team not just for this week in Mexico, but going forward, right? For me, that's saving a transfer. If for you, that's using your wild card, go ahead, right? It's gonna look different for each team, but I think the main thing is like, sure, this is the Mexican Grand Prix deadline stream, whatever, but we're really planning the 5 races that are remaining as one. And sure, things will change based on what happens in free practice and what happens in races going forward, which picks will actually go for. But structure-wise, you need to have like a timeline set. What are you doing? Like my timeline looks like this: save a transfer now. In Brazil, I will evaluate whether to use the 3x or not. If I use the 3x, it's probably on Norris plus Verstappen. How do I get those 2 in? Well, it's probably by selling McLaren then. Then, do I want to move back to McLaren? I could, that's whatever. But like, I have a clear plan and a clear pathway to what I want to do until the end of the season. For my team, we've already discussed it, but I'm planning on saving a transfer. Just using one. It's probably Russell to Leclerc. Probably Russell to Leclerc. It could be something else though. It could be, I don't know, Bortoleto to Behrman. I don't know. We'll see. That's gonna be it for the deadline stream. Shorter than usual. Thank you so much if you joined me. I know it's early morning in America, and I know it's not always easy to find out what I'm doing and when I'm doing it. Easy way to do so though is to follow me over on Twitter. Link in the description below. I'll post my final team there. Good luck this weekend. I'll see you after this one. Video this week on Monday or Tuesday. Hopefully. Yeah, Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday. Will the team selection video will be out for Brazil. And I'll see you for the next deadline stream. Thank you so much for watching. Have a good day, guys.